Tell us how the flood has affected you.
Yeah, the flood has affected me so very much. As in, like, right now, all my books are gone, and stuffs I really need, as in, like, school, education, my everything. Yeah. So right now, it's just like I'm from hero to zero. That's how I feel like it, because. I mean, my everything, like my school documents and everything is gone right now. It has really affected me, so I don't know what I'll do right now. I don't know what I'm going to do, so we are just looking and hoping up and see what comes up next. My clothes, everything is gone. The one I'm even putting on is not mine. It's my uncle. My uncle gave it to me to wear, yeah. So my clothes, everything, my suitcase, everything, my uncle's stuff, everything is just gone. Yeah.
How was it like when you had the big bang yesterday here?
Oh, we're in the room and then it was flooding. It was flooding and then we're like, oh, it wouldn't come to the room. Yeah. So we were outside, we were here on the corridor, and before we realized the water started coming in, and then it left. So for me, it reached my navel. We have to escape through that narrow window. Yeah, yeah, we had to escape through that place. So had we not done that, I mean, all of us would have run. My daddy, everyone, my sisters. Yeah, the whole family. So we had to pass through there one after the other. So yeah, and we went to the roadside, the next road. So after that, when we came back and everything was okay, we came back and there was nothing here. It's a great loss.
Great loss indeed for this very family, and this is just one of the families that have lost everything to the flood. Now, like she rightly put it, is from hero to zero. Now they have to rebuild and start from the scratch.
And Latif Idris, my colleague, put that report through right after the June 3 flooding situation here in the capital. But like I said, our concentration is on the children, young people, just like the story that we heard. So Dr. Abina Tete is joining me for a conversation on this one. She's country director, Pediatrics in Disasters. That's a special program. Most of us, I'm sure, haven't really heard it. So we're going to open the conversation up. Doc, good morning. Thanks
good morning.
For your time. So, Pediatrics in Disasters.
Yes.
What exactly is that?
Well, Pediatrics in Disasters is basically a training program. Some people in the American Academy of Pediatrics realized that all over the world, whenever something happened, whenever there was a disaster, everybody thought about the adults. Donate clothes to the adults, donate big blankets to people, give out rice and cooking oil, but nobody really thinks about the children. They tend to be overlooked, and yet children have special needs. So they designed this course basically to teach all sorts of people about the fact that children are important. They are not little adults, and so they have special needs. And so this course has been taught in many countries. What they do is they introduce it to the country. If you think it's good enough for you, you take it up and then you continue. So what we do is to train people, health personnel, paramedics, all sorts of people who are involved in disaster management, as well as people like teachers, even parents, the next door neighbor. What can you do for a child when something happens? Yes.
Okay, so let's look at the situations that have confronted us. At least two things currently, the floods and then this demolition exercise over the weekend.
Right.
As citizens looking on and hearing the stories, what could we do?
There's a lot you can do. Everybody has a child who lives nearby or is involved in one way or the other with a child, and you can support physically. So when you are giving out your donations, look for some children's clothing, look for some toys, some books. You heard that girl, she lost all her books, and that for her, that is a huge concern, especially if she's going to write exams. So you can give those things out. Look out for children who may be traumatized. The emotional thing nobody ever thinks about. But the child is so badly traumatized, and it can affect them for the rest of their lives. Indeed, I know an adult who was involved in floods when she was a child. And when she heard about this current one, she was just totally shattered. I mean, it was like the whole thing had come back again. So look out for that and listen to children. Please, please, let's allow them to talk. It doesn't matter if they are toddlers or whatever. But listen, you would pick out clues. Sometimes they will draw pictures of what happened. And it's their way of playing it back. And they have nightmares. Some children would end up wetting their beds after this. Don't scream at them. Don't laugh at them. Don't make them feel they are bad children, because it's all part of the psychological effect. The other thing you can do is to offer some help medically if you can, or at least take a child to the hospital, because this is the time when they are prone to all sorts of diseases. They've lost their homes. They are sleeping out there. Malaria is a big thing. Cholera is around the corner. So you can take a child to the hospital. You can give some money for somebody to take their child to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a whole lot you can do. Yeah.
Is it, when you talked about children drawing out their experience, is it a bad thing?
No, not at all.
Because, sometimes the child can begin to draw very scary things.
And that is how he feels. That's what's going on in his mind. So it actually gives you room to help them out. Because if he draws a very scary thing, there's a child who's scared. And there are people out there who can help. There are psychologists. At least when the Circle disaster happened, I know for sure that a group of psychologists set up a clinic at the Calvary Baptist Church. Many of them work at the psychiatric hospital. Some are at the medical school. So you can at least even take them to a general practitioner. Any doctor at all knows where to send them. So let them draw. And sometimes as they draw these things, it's just like when you and adults are traumatized and you talk over it. It helps you unburden yourself, and then you feel better. So for them, that's their way of expressing it. And so it's excellent. Allow them to draw. Sometimes they would play. They would role play. They would put their doll in water to bring out their experience when they were almost drowning. They would do all sorts of things. So these things are good.
Because, sometimes you want to interpret that as the child not either being friendly, or, I know it's not a nice word to use for a child, but some people would call them wicked.
Yes. But you see, if the child was, say, a flood victim or a victim of the demolition exercise or something, I mean, for a child, all these are disasters anyway. They are big disasters. If he was involved in the flood, for him, it was other children in the water, or he himself in the water. And so it's his way of bringing it out, of expressing himself.
Okay.
So it's not that he's being wicked. He doesn't even understand that it's wickedness. All that he understands is, this is what happened, and so they play it over and over again. Yes. And it's for the adult to pick it up and realize that this is a child who needs help.
What if the child doesn't talk at all?
That is actually another sign. Some of them become very withdrawn. They just will not talk. They wouldn't play. They just sit in a corner all day long and look moody. And that actually is telling you that the child is depressed. Do something fast.
Children get depressed?
Very much so. Yes.
I mean, they're not thinking about all the hard things that adults are thinking about. So what would, I mean, if I'm giving you food to eat, I know that we don't really have a place to sleep, but I am giving you the best.
That's what we tend to think. But they do get depressed. And there have been incidences of children committing suicide because they were depressed and nobody helped them. So they get depressed. Lots of them. It may not be the big things that you think about, but for a child, being bullied is as bad as not having food to eat. And that can tip them into depression. So it happens.
So where do you take them then?
Like I said, I mean, we are now trying to build the support systems, and that is why this Pediatrics in Disasters program is in place, because we don't have any systems at all.
Yeah.
But at least if you took them to any doctor, they would refer them either to a psychologist or even to a pediatrician, and every pediatrician knows where they can at least send a child in such a situation.
Isn't that the ideal situation? Let's look at Sodom and Gomorrah, Old Fadama, and let's look at some of the poor areas where these things have happened. I mean, they will not go to a pediatrician, you and I know that.
Yes.
So what happens in cases like that?
Right, that's why I started with any doctor at all, any hospital at all, or even a place with a nurse. But it has to be a place that I must say is child-friendly.
Okay.
Because even our health systems were not designed so much for kids. And so the people there might not understand. That's why we're trying to train as many of them as possible. So for now, we don't have the ideal situation. But at least if you got a child into a clinic near you, if they don't know what to do, they would refer the child.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So where can we find you? I mean, where is the country office for pediatrics in disasters, for instance?
Okay, so that's the interesting thing. It's designed such that it's not a static thing.
Okay.
So it's not a country office per se. It's a group of doctors, mostly pediatricians. We have an anesthetist on board for good reason, who do this. So you cannot find a certain place, okay? But if you went into any district hospital, or at least the regional ones, for instance, I work at the La General Hospital. So if you came to a place like that, or to the hospital at Teshi, or we have a rep from the Brong Ahafo region, for instance, there's somebody from Doma.
Okay.
So
if you went into a facility like that and you said that, okay, this is what has happened to us, and that's my child, or these are my children, then somebody like you would know what to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If they don't know where to find me, at least, like I'm saying,
your other representatives in
other hospitals, and there are psychologists in all the psychiatric hospitals. I know we don't like to hear psychiatric hospital, but it's not only for people who have lost their minds. There are psychologists in those places, and they would take care of the child.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so, just finally, what should we know? Because what you're saying is all of us who respond to some of these calls, some of these appeals, our concentration is on the adults, but there are children involved that we can do a lot to help. So on top of your head, what would you leave us? I want you to leave something on our minds.
Okay. So I'd say that everybody, please remember that the children are even more affected by sudden occurrences, sudden negative occurrences, than adults are. So if it hurts you, know it hurts your child more. If you're going to help, when you're making your donations, remember that there are children involved. So instead of just giving out rice and cooking oil, maybe you can add some Winamix, for instance. Something that a child can eat. Add that. Remember that they are prone to diseases after these things happen. Not just the psychological thing, but physical things as well. They are more likely to die of malaria than an adult will if they sleep out on the streets. So give out things like mosquito nets or mosquito repellents. Simple things like that. Give out clothes that are long-sleeved so that they get some protection when they go to sleep. So just as much as possible, think about the things that your children need at home and then include those in your donations as well. It will go a long way to help a child.
Sure. I'm grateful for your time. Thank you for the insight. That's Dr. Abena Tetteh. She's Country Director for Pediatrics in Disasters. She's also a pediatrician at the La General Hospital here in Accra. Stay with us. We've still got a lot more to come your way.